Hello and welcome to the Play Creators Conference. My name is Billy Langsworthy. I'm co-founder of Mojo Nation, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Samuel Thomas Johnson, who is design manager at Lego Ideas. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
So massive thanks for joining us today. We're going to delve into all things Lego Ideas and Lego art, which is excitingly on display behind you there. But I think to kick us off, you've got one of the first times I met you quite a few years back now. One of the nicest things was your journey into the industry, and it's a very cool story. It's a very nice story. So yeah, could you tell us how you started off, because it came from a very young age in terms of this career path?
So I've always been a Lego kid since forever. And that's what you always hear at the job interviews. When I was a kid, I had Lego. But for me, it was this, the toy aspect of it was always this amazing thing to me, and even never really grew out of it, of playing with toys, having toys, enjoying all different types of toy products. And so when I was in high school in Essex, I wrote a letter to Lego saying, I have to choose my GCSEs, and I don't know what to choose, and I really dream about being a Lego designer when I grow up, And my parents were really supportive about it. You always get that's not a real job. You're gonna get a real job. That's more my grandparents. But my parents were really supportive of it, and so when I wrote to Lego, I was saying this is all I've ever dreamed of, and they actually wrote me a letter back that had a list of qualifications that a toy designer might have. Trying not to guarantee me a job, when you've done all these things, then you guarantee the job. But looking at this list as a kid, I thought this is great, and I took this list with me to school, and I did pretty much every one of those qualifications that they suggested to me. I started out, I did art and design and mathematics and all these things that is what Lego is about. All the way up to university, where I studied product design at the University of Derby in Derbyshire. And so at the end of that, I'd been really adamant. I really want to be a Lego designer. And by this time, I'm in my early 20s, right? and still saying, I want to play with toys for the rest of my life. And then at the end of the final major project, which I made a buildable toy for, because I really wanted to show off that I could do something like what would get me into Lego. They chose 6 designers from the whole course to go to New Designers, which is held in London every year, mostly for graduates from all the universities. And my university, they couldn't afford to send the whole class, so we raised the money, and they chose 6 to represent the university, and I was one of those people chosen. And when they handed me the ticket to this event, it said on the back of it, "This is our favorite place to look for new design talent." And the quote was by the Lego Group. And that for me is just, mind blowing. It's like 5-year-old Sam's mind just and I was just totally blown away that this would be my opportunity to get a foot in the door at the company I dream about working for, or even the industry that I dream about being in. And so I put all my money into this project to make it display nice. I couldn't even afford a haircut before I went there, because I had spent all my money on the toy. But when I got there, I was emailing Lego like, "Hey, I'm at this event. I know you're going to be here. Please come and find me. I really just want to speak to someone about the role as a Lego designer." And I must have sent about 500 emails to the Lego Group, all different email addresses. And they sent me an email back saying, "Thank you for your persistence." And we have someone at the event that will come and find you. And I told them where I was. And, I'm waiting for, I don't know what a Lego designer looks like at this point. So I'm waiting for basically that guy who's on the front of the Monopoly game to show up. And hand me a huge bag full of cash with a dollar sign on it, and whisk me away to sunny Denmark. And and that, of course, never happened. So, on the last day of the exhibition, it's nearly a week long, I think, the new designers. And on the last day, I was really kind of upset that they never came. And, we're getting ready to finish the show, and these 3 students were coming around the booth, and they were asking me all about my project and what I was doing and why I wanted to do toy design. And I told them my really long story about how I wanted to be a Lego designer. And one of the guys says, well, actually, I'm a design director at the Lego group, and I'd like to have a copy of your portfolio for review for a potential job at Lego. And that was like...
I was going to say, how long were you in the coma for?
So it was about an hour. I stood there with this business card in my hand, like, did that seriously just happen? They just handed me the business card and left. And it was really like crazy. And the guy who handed it to me, he's still works here. His name's Will Thorogood. And he's been at Lego for a long time. And, it just showed me that this is, toy design, you're allowed to show your personality, and be yourself. And if you want to dress like a student forever, toy design is the place to do it. Because they still dress the same, these guys.
Nice. And I love the fact that they waited to the very last, like a real Hollywood ending. They thought, well, we could see him on day one, but let's wait until the final day.
Yeah, I imagine, like, look at this sucker. Like,
That's amazing. And have you kept the letter? Is it in a frame somewhere? Or
unfortunately, the letter is, we moved house quite a lot as a kid, so the letter was lost. But but I've been telling the story for nearly 10 years now. It's nearly my 10-year anniversary, Lego. Yeah.
Amazing.
I have to try and see if there's an archive somewhere that has a copy of this letter.
That's it. There's probably a whole room dedicated to your letters you sent us.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm interested in terms of that next step, because obviously it is for many people, it is that dream job. It sounds like it probably is one of the coolest jobs in the world to be a Lego designer. Yeah. So in terms of once you get through that stage, and there's obviously, an interview process, and we've spoke to a few designers at Lego and designers that have been at Lego and other toy companies. What is that? What do they test for? What are those sort of, what hoops do they make you go through to see whether you're a good fit for Lego?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting process being interviewed for a job as the designer at Lego, because it's really, the tests are kind of hidden behind Lego bricks, so everything is involving Lego when you get here. So it's everyone is interviewed on the same day at the same time. So it's really, you feel quite competitive because everyone there was around 40 candidates when I arrived, and they put us all in the same room together, and people were from different backgrounds. So there were some people they found new designers, some people that had applied who had a hobby doing Lego, some people that were hardcore Lego fans that make all these crazy things that you see on the internet. And, so it's really different backgrounds for everyone. And the interview starts out where you're actually being interviewed by the design team. So there's members of the other design managers that are there looking for someone to recruit into their team.
Yeah.
So the one I joined was a general Lego recruitment, but sometimes it can be aimed at girls products or fashion products, or depending on where Lego is expanding at the time. It's growing every day. And everyone is handed a Lego set before the interview starts. So you're sent it to your house, and it just says, come with an idea from this Lego set. And everyone is sent the same Lego set. And so I made all kinds of random things out of this box, like ideas for models or products, just hoping that I would maybe hit the right note. And then when we get there, because it was split up into tables, so it's manageable for Lego to talk to everyone. But you're not necessarily in the student table or the grown-up adult fan table. It's really just mixed. So they're really seeing how you interact together, because all the designers here have different backgrounds, different life stories of how they got to Lego and all this kind of thing. So they're really looking at how you interact together, how you generate ideas, maybe together as well. So they started adding things like teamwork, challenges to see how people can work together to create one design. But when I started, it was we were handed a Lego set on the day and said, here's the set. You don't get the box. You don't get the instruction manual. You have to build something. And then after, say, 2 hours, tell us the story. And so you're basically pitching a toy to Lego, but you only have the Lego bricks that they gave you from a random set. So it could be, maybe it's a piano and you have no idea, but you have to build a model from it, or maybe it's a monster truck. And you have to just come up with a story and a model that you want to show. And they did this a couple of times when I was being interviewed, just so they're giving you different sets to see like how you cope with limited resources. But it's really all about your communication and the ideas that you come with, because everyone can learn to build a way. And so it's about how you're generating your ideas and what kind of things you bring to the table, whether it's personality that really gets everyone going, or if it's just some crazy ideas that really push the boundaries. Other challenges were, no Lego involved. You're just given a pad of paper and a few pens. Pitch a new Lego plaything for, say, boys age 5 to 7 or something like that. They're really looking at how do you think about what kids might like, where do you see Lego going. I pitched an idea was about some agents going into space or something like that. I actually still have the paperwork on the day, but in a few weeks later I found out that Lego's doing a Lego agents theme, so my thinking kind of matches what they're going with, so it's really a test of your communication skills and your personality, rather than what can you do with Lego bricks, because it takes ages to build a Lego model, but it takes seconds to communicate an idea on a piece of paper. So can you just sketch something down and say, I'm thinking of something like this, and what do you think? And everyone gets it. And that's kind of across the board of a lot of design places. And it's just to show off how well you can work with the team.
Yeah. And do you think there is something in terms of where you said there about, personality and, I mean, you came back from, your background was very much, as a massive fan and love Lego and love design and stuff like that. Working now and seeing your colleagues and who sort of joins the company now and stuff like that, do you think, is there a common sort of characteristic that everyone at the company sort of has? Does it help to come from that point of absolutely loving the product? Do you think?
I think it's not necessarily that you have to have played with Lego as a kid, or there's a couple of designers who have joined the team who have never even owned Lego, which is really crazy. So they come with really crazy ideas. But I think it's the Lego has a very playful way of being in the world. We don't take anything too seriously, so we don't want to portray anything too violently or anything. So everything is playful, even the way we're designing products. And I always say to my design team, if you're not having fun whilst designing a toy for children, then the toy isn't good enough. So it's that playfulness of, not necessarily having to be a huge personality that fills the room, or if you just want to be in your own little bubble and try and work your way through that. It's really about the playfulness of your ideas, and are they really suitable for Lego?
Yeah.
Because other toy companies might do other types of products, for example, military. So really involved in that kind of area of the toy world. So it's how do you take on, if you were briefed military in Lego, how would you twist it to become the kid-friendly product line that we have in the portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, like you said earlier, you're 10 years at Lego. Are there anything you can talk about in terms of, are we going to talk about Lego art and some of the Lego ideas stuff, but are there any sets across your time, if you were to give us a couple of examples of stuff you've worked on that you're really proud of, just so we can get a feel of what your what you've been behind at Lego? What would be some of the sets that come to mind?
Yeah, the first Lego set that I designed is an ambulance that was launched in 2012. And when I joined the company, on the very first day, my manager came to pick me up and took me and showed me the lineup. This is what's going to come out in 2012, and this is October 2010. So it's like seeing into the future. Very mind-blowing in itself. And he said to me, "What one do you want to make?" Like, I just got here, any? Worked in a toy shop beforehand, and people kept complaining to me that there was no ambulance in Lego. So this is the one I chose and said, I'd really like to do this ambulance because I think it's really cool. And the mentor that trained me to be a Lego designer, his name's Torben Skov. He's been at Lego since the mid-80s. And when he was asking me how I played with Lego as a kid, and trying to work out who I am. This is the first few days at Lego, and he asked me what my favorite set was when I was younger, and I told him about this recycling truck that I had as a kid that I played with until the string broke and my nan fixed it. And I told him this really elaborate story, and you could just see in his eyes, like he was starting to get upset because he designed that Lego set.
Oh wow!
About so the person that inspired me to want to be a toy designer, to be a Lego designer, was actually training me to be a Lego designer. And wow. That's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. It's still mind-blowing to me today, and really opened my eyes to the breadth of talent in the toy industry. You don't age out of that. You can play for your life, and that was really inspiring for me. So that ambulance is one of my favorite ones, even though if I built it today, it's probably the worst model I've ever made. But it's really powerful for me, that Lego set. Another set I made which came out in 2015, was Lego Doctor Who, which came out for Lego, where I saw online someone posting on, I think it was Twitter, posting to all the actors who had played the Doctor in Doctor Who, and wouldn't this be a great Lego set if it reaches 10,000 votes and becomes the real thing? And one of the actors who played the Doctor actually responded saying, this would be brilliant, but only if Sam Johnson gets to be the designer. Like that was posted online. So I screenshotted this and I sent it to the ideas team, like, see, even the Doctor wants me to be the designer on Doctor Who. And so for me, that was amazing. And so I designed the set, and then I later told them that my uncle is Paul McGann, who played the 8th Doctor in the early 2000s. So wow. I sneaked my way into Lego Ideas, which are now the design manager of today. Nice. To swindle my way into
you played it. Nice. That's very smart.
Yeah. And just another one off the top of my head, I really like Lego Voltron, which came out a couple of years ago, and that was a model that in Lego where everyone had said it's not possible. You can't make this half-meter high robot on 2 legs made of Lego bricks because it will just break the bricks or something like that. And everyone said it's not possible. They went to the robot experts at Lego and it's not possible. And I just literally took the piece of paper, give it to me, I will do it. And so I set out to design the model, and I couldn't do it because it was really difficult. But I'd made this base where I really believed that something could be made. And I had a young designer called Neek, who'd recently joined the company at the time. He's just had his 5th anniversary now. He was he's a big Japanese robot fan. And together we spent, a summer designing the set to be able to be released. So it's the set that everyone said could not be done. And it's been on the market and sold really well. Really, we went to Comic-Con to launch it. Really a great experience.
So yeah, and that's it's an incredible set, and it brings me on in terms of Lego Ideas and how that as a platform sort of has evolved. I think it's really interesting because I remember when I was covering from the toy trade point of view the first launch of Lego Kuso and Lego Idea and all that sort of stuff when it evolved. And it's fascinating because obviously at the start it was very much, there were certain things that were deemed very adult, or themes or brands that would never be made into Lego. Yeah. And now there are certain other themes, and you've got the whole sort of adult range, and there are certain TV shows that sort of have that broad generational appeal. So I'm interested in terms of, from your time there, have you seen that as a platform evolve, but also the approach in terms of what can be a Lego set and what you guys can do change slightly over the last 10 years?
Yeah, we obviously we get a huge blend of different IPs come into Lego Ideas because Lego, the big machine, can only cover so many at one time. So this is the one place where people can come and say, I'd really love to have, say, Winnie the Pooh as a Lego set for myself, rather than it being for preschool. Or I'd really like a set of Friends because it's been on TV for 25 years now. So that's really interesting for me to see that expanding and evolving as different IPs. They come and go. Some become more timeless than others. So they come on repeat. So we've had people for years asking for Super Mario, for example, and we finally got the opportunity to take that into Lego through a different channel. But it's really a great place for us to see what people are asking for and give them the opportunity to own it. So I really enjoy that. It started out, like you said, Lego Kusu started really out as a bit nerdy, I feel, because it was only really some specialists, people that really knew about it at the time. So you see the first 3 products, I think, are really, there's a Shinkai submarine, and there's a satellite. And so it starts off a bit nerdy, and you can see as the momentum starts to roll, then we have things like Minecraft and Ghostbusters, and those 2 IPs just in themselves have expanded into huge parts of the Lego group. So the Ghostbusters are now being implemented even in some of our new video games, and Minecraft, as you know, is this huge segment of Lego. So it's really the doors that it can open for Lego, and really just by testing the water with one product, which evolves into 2, which becomes maybe a product line down the road.
Well, I was very excited to see as a massive Seinfeld fan, I was very excited to see that make its way through. Let's hope that launches a whole Lego Seinfeld world. I'll buy the video game. I'll buy the works. That'll be great. And I'm interested in terms of how you work with Lego Ideas. So, and that might be a good example, being a fresh one. What is the process like when obviously a set based on an IP, with a brand owner makes it through? How is that collaborative process in terms of, right, we've got this sitcom, this is the area we're going to do, what can we do with it, what can't we do with it? How does that sort of conversation and collaboration work?
So we always start with the fan submission that has been uploaded to Lego Ideas and got the 10,000 votes. So that's really our playground at the beginning, where for example, the Seinfeld submission is Jerry Seinfeld's apartment from the show. So that's really our starting point, and probably what you can expect from the big chunk of the Lego set, right? So that's where we start, and we use all the fan submissions to pitch it to the IP partner and say, hey, we got this at 10,000 votes. Is this something that you would be interested in? Because for us, it's super exciting. And we're doing this for pretty much every IP that reaches the 10,000 votes to see, like, is it possible? Does it fit? Is there portfolio conflict? So, there might be someone else who's already taking on that IP, but of course we can't announce it to the public due to confidentiality, which is set by all our partners. So we're really reaching out to the owner to see what's possible, but also working with the original fan designer. We don't cut them out. We don't say thanks for your idea and cut them off. They're actually part of a co-creation of the product. So they're normally a huge fan of whatever they've posted, or they're the original creator of an original idea, like the tree house, and they really have a vision for what it should be. And there's maybe some scenes in a TV show or movie that they really love that they'd really like to get in. And so we're trying to cater for not only the IP partner, but to bring that fans' dream product to life in the way that they envisioned it. So, of course, there's changes along the way that we have to make due to complexity or Lego building techniques, this kind of thing. That it's really, under our skin as Lego designers. So there's some things that obviously change, and we really like to be able to add something as well that fans aren't expecting. So Lego ideas, even though we took the idea, turned into the product, we'd really like to add something that no one expects. Say the grand piano that just launched, the original fan submission, it couldn't play music of any kind, but the video that Donnie made, the fan designer's name's Donnie, it was overlaid with piano music. So everyone thought that it could play piano music. So the brief was, if it can't play music, then it's not going to be the right product. So that's really where we're starting with that, which is an original idea of really trying to layer on something that is really special for the product in the end.
Yeah. And is there anything for anyone that's sort of thinking about submitting a set, or I suppose just in general, is there anything you think connects all the sets that have been made from Lego ideas and that have been successful, especially the ones that have launched and then been very successful? Is there anything that connects them, or is there anything that you think is key to getting those 10,000 votes and sort of getting through that process? But is there anything that you think actually the ones that do make it, they all absolutely nail this?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier about like the playfulness of like an IP. So Friends, for example, it deals with a lot of really adult themes, like relationships, friends, jobs, housing, all this kind of thing. But the thing that goes along the way is that it's really playful, and you can laugh at the characters and the funny things that happen. Same with Seinfeld or Winnie the Pooh. Is like it's about imagination, so it's a playful world that we can bring to life. So if you see your favorite IP that Lego maybe has never done, your favorite movie, if it has that kind of playfulness to it in a way, and we're really trying to play on emotions in Lego sets. So I made this Jurassic Park set that came out a couple of years ago, and for me, the thing that I remember as a kid was how scary it was seeing these two children who were the same age as me being chased by a velociraptor through the kitchen. It's a place I know, and so to try and translate that into a playful toy of like children's horror, that kind of emotion that you get from it, and just trying to bring to life what you get from it personally, it can be really strong and really show, rather than just replicating this is a one-to-one version of a car, but why is it that color? Why does it have those wheels? What's the reason that you made it that way? Did your dad own one? Something like that. We just approved a Typewriter, which is on Lego Ideas, which is not based on any kind of brand or movie or anything, but the fan designer who made it, he found an original photograph of Ole Kirk Christensen, the founder of Lego, in his office with a typewriter that looked exactly like his Lego model. So for us, that's a really cool story, emotional connection, connection as well. So we really wanted to play on that kind of theme as going forward into the design of, wouldn't this be cool to show it as a true Lego item that maybe the founder of Lego could have used. So there's those kind of emotions.
That's really, really smart. And we've got a lot of designers watching this, and our audience is designers. And I'm interested in terms of your creative process day to day working at Lego. What is it that you do, or what helps fuel your creativity and push forward your design, would you say?
For me, I really do a lot of like research into all kinds of things. If I see something on social media or on a movie that just did a funny thing, that I think, oh, that could be a cool toy, or I really love toys, so I have this huge collection of random things in my house that really just inspire me. Maybe it's a pop-up mechanism, or something that maybe I could translate into Lego. I used when I was on Legends of Chima, which is a product line that came out a few years ago. I used a lot of Da Vinci drawings to create wings and things like that out of Technic. So it was really like trying to translate something that's really not Lego related and make it part of a toy. And so it's really abstracting something that just inspires you. So it could be plant life, it could be anything. There's just something that inspires you like that. And I really like that kind of taking something away from the original context. We looked at one time Betamax video players because they used to have this pop-up function in the top. There's like top loading things, like how can you replicate that in Lego? And actually now there's the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System model, which has this top loading function inside. So it's really funny to see someone actually using like these things that we randomly looked into, and it not necessarily having to build a whole model out of it. So can I just replicate something I saw on the back of a truck, or a weird ladder system or something? We're just building these small gadgets, and because Lego is modular, you can actually use these ideas across everything. So maybe the idea doesn't work so well for a piano in Lego Ideas, but that could really work well on the Batcave for Batman, so we can really play around with different techniques. And we do a lot of stealing from old Lego designs as well. So there was a shooting function, I'm going to steal that and I'm going to rebuild it and put it into this vehicle instead. So we can again recycle a lot of different funny ideas.
And on that, we interviewed Justin Ramsden last year around Stranger Things, and he mentioned a couple of times where some of the pieces from the set had strange origins, or they were meant for something else, and they've ended up. I think there was a sausage from one set has become something else in another. I think it was an eyebrow on a fairground ride. Have you got anything like that? Is there any stories where actually one of your sets, that something else had there was a strange origin to it, or a strange solution that presented itself for a creative problem that you had for one of the set?
Wow, that's a pretty cool question. I'm just trying to think what the last model is I made. The last model I made was the International Space Station, which came from Lego Ideas this year.
Nice.
And that has a lot of weird, because everything is scaled down to this micro scale, so it's possible to build. That has a lot of using flags as solar panels, and I'm just trying to think of some things off the top of my head. There's the nose cone on the space shuttle that's included is actually originally a fez for Grail Knight in Indiana Jones. So it's,
there we go. There's the perfect.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of these weird things, and often when we're building stuff, like especially Legends of Chima, which was all animal based and all animal shaped vehicles. It was really like trying to find parts that looked like it could be part of an animal's face, or could that translate into something? So I used a car bonnet for the nose of a polar bear in Legends of Chima. All these random things that you put together.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that a fez finds its way into the space station.
Into space, yeah.
It's a lovely thing. And interesting that sort of the opposite to how you fuel your creativity. Is there have you got an Achilles heel when it comes to design or creativity? Is there any area that takes more work for you than others?
My worst trait is that I'm really not organized, and even though I'm a manager of design at Lego, I'm really have a lot of difficulty being organized. So that's somewhere I'm trying to be better every day in my job. It can sometimes be with creativity and things it's not just a machine you can turn on. So sometimes you have a really bad day where you end up basically browsing a catalogue of photos, not really doing a lot, where you're trying to find something to inspire you. And other days, my wife might call me at 4 p.m, 5 p.m, like, when are you actually going to come home? It's just like, well, I'm in the groove now. throw off the groove. so just getting, some days it can be really hard. Some days it's really hard to stop, and try and switch it back off again so I can time with my family.
Absolutely. And it's been an amazing year for Lego in the terms of you've had the Mario sets, like you say, the console, which looks amazing. Lego art, there's which we're going to talk about now. In terms of when you're starting out for a new theme, you mentioned back in the interview process, it was very much right. If you're given carte blanche, create a brand new theme.
Yeah.
In terms of your day to day now, is it the case that if you have an idea and you think, hold on a minute, we could, there's this whole new area we can dip into, or this brand new, brand new theme comes to you? What is that process? Is it a very open thing, and you can just go, you know what do you think about this? Is it a fairly, do you have that?
There's some interesting ways to work in Lego, especially when it's like from scratch, so like just a basic idea for a theme or a product. So we have a department called Creative Play Lab, and their job is solely to come up with new ways to play with Lego, or new ways to evolve a theme. So they might take a really established theme like Lego City, and their job is to say, how can you inject something new into this? So it might be, right now we have something like a flying helicopter, something that changes the way that you play with Lego, that you actually can do something else. Then another way to do it is actually every year there's 1 week at Lego where they turn off the Lego design machine, and all the designers are given the opportunity to pitch whatever they want to the Lego group. So you have 1 week to build it and prepare your pitch. So it's kind of like a student show, like a fair. So you have your display with your model and your printed board is really like how it was when I was. So you have your model or your idea. Or it could be anything. It could be a brand new product line from like just a basic idea for a product line. It could be an idea for a one-off product. It could be an idea for how we recycle our products, or what do we do? How do we mold elastic bands? Also, it could be something really crazy like that, because everything that Lego has is basically in-house design. So how can we innovate it? And so you're basically given any opportunity you want to. How could you remove screws from this item? It just, if you feel strongly about something, then they give you the opportunity to do it. One guy, he just pitched 1 year about removing paper cups from Lego. And it happened, so it can be the smallest thing about how to improve the company from a design perspective, or it could be a whole product line. I pitched 2 years ago. I pitched Trolls 2 to Lego, and the last year the products came out on the shelf. So that was really exciting for me to see. Something that I pitched just randomly because my daughter was really into Trolls. She was 2 years old at the time, just being crazy about the movie, and now we actually have products that are out there on the shelves.
Amazing. And speaking about doing something new, it's a nice segue into Lego art, which is behind you there. In terms of how, for anyone that hasn't seen it and hasn't seen the stuff about the launch and what it is, how would you describe what this new Lego art range is?
Yeah, so Lego art is a new way to interact with Lego, and not necessarily for people who are fans of the brand to begin with. What Lego art is that it's a way to interact with your passion, whether it be art or music, or maybe there's a movie that you really love, or the possibilities are quite endless. But a way to interact with that through the medium of creating a piece of art to then hang on your wall. With the mindset of escapism and being able to kind of put all the stress out of your mind and really use it as a meditative, but then with a cool result of a fantastic piece of art that you can hang on the wall.
Right. No, and they look amazing, and I'm interested. This is a very, well, it could be seen as a left field. You know, like I say, it's you
Mm.
hang it on the wall, it's art. You could see it, you know, not just in the toy aisle. You could see it in
Yeah.
the home, you know, the home aisle. How did this come about? How was this sort of? Was this one of the ones that was pitched on a board at that day?
Actually, this came from the Creative Play Lab that I mentioned. They're a pretty big team, and one of the areas there, they were asked to come up with a new experience for people for adults who have no affinity to Lego whatsoever. So that's where it comes from, and so they tested all kinds of different themes, and what came out strongest was this art project, which at the time was called Mosaics. So because it basically is a mosaic product, and people had really responded to the fact that, oh wow, it doesn't scream Lego in my face, and it's something that I can have that is different to anything else I can buy. So it's not just I can go out and buy a poster and put it in a frame and say that's my passion. I've actually interacted with it and I've actually created it. So what we have really had in mind was seeing people who had been posting online about how I built this Lego thing, and it was I find it really relaxing, and this kind of was quite a big trend that was coming up. And we're seeing even celebrities like David Beckham using Lego to chill out. And I wonder what he does with the models afterwards. But there's this huge room in his mansion that has filled with Lego sets. But it's how can we show that to the general population that it is all right, so that's why we picked some of the themes that aren't really classic Lego style, so Lego art, calling it Lego art, we had to of course have an artist involved, and the one that really fit with the Lego way of creating a product for us was Andy Warhol, which is the Marilyn Monroe that you can see here. And Andy Warhol's way of working is he created one image and then kept screen printing it in different colors to find the magic one. So what we did was, working with the Warhol Foundation, we replicated the Andy Warhol Marilyn diptych, which is the pink colored one. But because Lego has this huge color palette, we can also replicate the Andy Warhol way of working. I actually brought one with me, so we can actually maybe manipulate colors. So you can be Andy Warhol, and you can decide what colors you mix it up and match them together. So there's actually 4 different options that we've provided, but we're not saying that it has to be in that pattern at all. So if you maybe added your own color, you could again add a whole new dimension to the
yeah. And they look incredible. And I'm interested on that sort of the mindfulness side of it, because it isn't just a build, is it? It comes with audio stuff to listen to as well.
Yeah. So there's each set comes with a build instruction booklet that has a ton of information about this is the Beatles, and shows all their albums, and about the different themes that you might be interested in. But yeah, there's an audio soundtrack included in each set, and they're different depending on the SKU. So for the Andy Warhol, there's it's kind of a audio documentary where it's talking about Andy Warhol and Marilyn Monroe and their connection, and then the art piece, and then eventually how we created the Lego product at the end. So it ends with an interview with the designer.
Great. And like you say, they're very different from a typical Lego set. So I'm interested in terms of the build from your approach, from designing it. What were some of the interesting sides of actually how you tackled, why you went in the direction you went in?
Yeah.
Were there any key challenges in terms of, just how we translate Lego into a bit more of a 2D format?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for us, it was always for Lego art, it's actually probably more about the experience than the getting to the end, So we wanted it to be something that you can really escape into. And that's why we included the audio, so you can kind of block everything out, the noise of the traffic outside your house or whatever. So it's really about how do you get to the end, and each of the images is split in 9. So you can see on the back here, they split into different squares, and that's where we wanted to make it kind of bite-sized, so you don't have to do everything in one go. When you build a Lego set, you often have Lego bricks all over the place. And so we're just trying to make it manageable for people who maybe don't know how to handle that or what to do with it. So there's images that we included that show like all the brown elements are in a bowl and all the blue elements are in a bowl. And we took an active decision to split all the colors. So each color comes in its own bag in the set, much like you would get paint. You would get each color individually, but it also gives you a really easy way to manage it, and so you don't have to search around, because that can be a bit annoying sometimes. So and each set contains nearly 4,000 of these small things. You really want to make it as easy as possible, and so we're trying not to use too many similar colors, which is really something we do in a lot of Lego sets. But then also trying to work out how do these colors blend together, because if we didn't, the Beatles is probably the worst example of having the similar colors, but it really blends the image together and really makes it more of an art piece than just something that anyone could have built. Really wanted it to really speak the emotions and everything that you feel from the Beatles.
Nice. I'm interested, like I say, the Marilyn Monroe, it really makes sense. In terms of where you've gone, Marvel with the Iron Man and Star Wars and the Beatles, why were these sort of a good fit for the initial launch?
So I talked about art, because Lego art, you need art, right? But we were testing all different types of images, and music was one that we didn't really have a foothold in Lego. We've done Yellow Submarine on Lego Ideas, but not really much else has come out of the company that really speaks to music as a passion and taste in music. So we did a lot of testing on different artists and what would be the best one to launch, and because we had created this 4-in-1 system for Andy Warhol, that's where the Beatles really fit well, because there's 4 super recognizable members of the band, and they each have a different look as well. So if you build one, you get a different experience from if you build the other one. And so if you built George, Ringo, you get different look and a different way to use the colors. So it really worked well for us. And they have these 4 famous photos which are in the White Album, which we adapted into color, so that we wanted to create a unique art, because we'd already done it with Andy Warhol. So we made the photos into a unique expression in color. Yeah, and the other 2 really we wanted, because this is the launch year, we wanted to also we didn't want to just alienate everyone who loves Lego, so we wanted to bring with something recognizable for the Lego fans, but maybe in a way that they haven't had it before. So we've done tons of Iron Man sets. So probably every Marvel fan has a little Iron Man Lego figure, but we really wanted to tell a story. So with Marvel, we looked at all the superheroes, and the one that had a kind of story that fit with the way we were going already was Tony Stark, who has multiple armors. He has got an interesting personality, and we could really tell about the creation of the character and the story behind each of the armor designs, anchored in the more modern movies. So there's 3 different designs for the movie suits. So you can build a 3-in-1, and as an extra dimension for these 2 products, if you purchase 3 of them, you can actually build an Ultima Mosaic, which is a really super detailed image of Iron Man or Darth Vader in the Star Wars one. So it's a new dimension to it. So you don't have to have 4 individually. You can actually build 1 image from 3 if you want to, if you feel really like you love this way of building. And yeah, the Star Wars one again is we had some trouble with Star Wars at the beginning because everyone has seen every image of Darth Vader. You know, those posters and everything has been printed on a T-shirt. So we wanted to have something unique. So we wrote to Lucasfilm about the product, and they got us in touch with one of their artists who created unique artworks for this product for us. And so it's really, really unique to this product that this image of Darth Vader and Darth Maul and Kylo Ren only appear on this Lego format.
Amazing. And they're really, really cool. And like you say, this is the launch year, and I suppose with this sort of system, you know, like you say, anything is possible. You know, there could be a Sam self-portrait you could do out of there. Might be already one existing. I don't know.
They wouldn't build it for me.
Bring it in. But, I mean, is this a brand that you think has legs in terms of, you know, new IP and new ways to play with this, and it's just the start for Lego art?
Yeah, I think it's a door opener for Lego and to test against some new waters, like famous artists or musicians, or even different ways to express the things that we've already got in the portfolio. So I really think that's interesting, and we're not bound by any particular IP in this. So you could see that maybe one day we could do sports stars or other musicians, or, you know, famous actors. You know, maybe there's a Harrison Ford set with Han Solo and Indiana Jones or something. You know, so it really depends on where we want to take it, and you know, this is not the last 4 you're going to see. It's an ongoing platform, as I mentioned.
Amazing.
We'll keep evolving.
Yeah, no, amazing. And in terms of looking ahead and stuff, you are allowed to talk about, and obviously, you know, don't say anything you're not allowed to say, for God's sake. But in terms of stuff that you've worked on, looking ahead to the future, what can you tell us about other sets that are coming out from?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Lego art is going to go on, and we're going to keep trying to touch on all the different passion points of our adult consumers that might want to try Lego or try Lego in a different way. And then for Lego ideas, we recently announced that we're going to be doing Seinfeld, a typewriter, which is really exciting. It's something totally off the wall, you know, a typewriter built from Lego bricks. It's really complicated. And we're also doing a set based on Home Alone, which is also really exciting for us. And yeah, so it will be the first kind of Christmas product that we'll have worked on. So that's really exciting. And yeah, 2021 is going to be pretty exciting. 2022 and 23, like, it's, you know, it just evolves every year. And so, you know, the brief every year is to make a cooler version of what you did last year. So it's just, I don't know if we're ever going to reach the ultimate the ultimate cool, you know. So it's really exciting, and seeing, especially on Lego Ideas, the way fans are evolving, what they're uploading. We're seeing TV shows become much higher level of you know, value for people, in almost at movie level, you know. So a lot of Hollywood movies, they stuck around for decades. We're starting to see TV shows elevated to that same level. So you're seeing IPs that we've never even considered before, that are being opened up for a new generation of Lego adults, because, you know, they've grown up with different things, and we're in a totally new world today.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. And I've obviously spoken to you before, and you've done lots of interviews for this, but over your career. So I'm intrigued, is there, to sort of end on, is there a question that no one has asked you yet about working at Lego that you've been dying to answer, that might give might give us an insight, or yeah?
Yeah.
And it might have been, you know, how useful is a Lego Fez in your design process?
I answer a lot of questions about, you know, how I got my job, and, you know, what type of products I work on and all this kind of thing. But we never really talk about what I find really interesting working here is the teams that work at Lego and the dynamics of the teams. And it's probably something really interesting for someone coming in as a student or perspective wanting to work in this industry or even at this company. Because when I started working here, I imagined that, I didn't even think about that I was a foreigner, coming in. And when I got here, of course, there's a lot of Danish designers, and mostly the old guys are the Danish designers. There's still a lot of young Danish recruitments coming in. But the international aspect of Lego is absolutely amazing and really mind-blowing. So I worked in a team at one point where I was the only English person, and there was a Dane, Irish, Japanese, French. It was really like crazy team put together. And because of the cultural differences, you're learning really a lot from each other, because something might be considered borderline in Japan. We don't even think about it in the UK, so it's, these things, you learn really a lot from the personalities of people and the culture that they've come from, because maybe it's been where I've worked previously, it might have been disrespectful for me to speak to someone about a different thing. But also it's because it's design, you have to be open about everything, otherwise something might get out that really wasn't suitable or really might get negative comments. So if you think, oh, that doesn't really work, you have to say it, whether you feel like, oh, I might offend my Japanese colleague or my Chinese colleague or my Irish colleague. You might offend them by saying these things, but we're all learning from each other going around. The amount of nationalities is really impressive.
And does that, in terms of from a design point of view, because obviously Denmark has a very rich design culture and history, as does other territories. So do you find when you're working on a team that has people from different backgrounds and different countries, they're bringing those different design sensibilities as well, in terms of the style from Japan is going to be different from, like you say, a designer who studied design in Ireland or
Yeah. So it was a really funny dynamic, because like my Irish colleague, his name's Dara, he studied tractor design. Like, so totally random, right? So he's coming with, everything had big wheels or tracks, trailers on it. And then Junior, who was my Japanese colleague when we were in the team, he was coming with things that had like really Japanese robot type things. And so it's like trying to take those two styles and mash them together to create, one design language is really, really interesting, to try and round everything off. So maybe some product lines are much more inspired by a different culture. So Ninjago, for example, is inspired by Asiatic design and different Asian cultural aspects. But then they don't want it to only be for that region. So they want to make it digestible for the rest of the world as well. So they're adding more Western design aspects into it. So the whole world is getting something for them in the design language. So it's really interesting to try and blend these different things together and really learn from each other and learn different styles as well, because I didn't really know anything about the robot building thing before I met Junior, and then he was a big influence for me working on the Voltron set, which is obviously a Japanese robot. And so it was really trying to get to know things from each other. It's really cool, and not everyone has a design background even. So some might have come from being a teacher or IT consultant or something, but they really were into Lego or had a hobby of toy design. Or, anything can bring you here. It's really about how you interact with the Lego design.
Yeah, amazing. No, that's really interesting, and yeah. So no, massive thanks again, Sam, for chatting to you. I always enjoy these chats. Big congrats on Lego art. It looks amazing, and fingers crossed it does really well. And we see lots more, and hopefully we'll catch up soon about some of your future top secret sets. And definitely drop your line once Lego Seinfeld comes out, because I'm intrigued to hear more about that.
Excellent, no problem. I hope to see you again.